The following video contains content, branding, and advertising from Mars Incorporated, the Wrigley Company, and Skittles. I'm not sponsored by or have any association with the companies previously stated. This video exists to promote creativity amongst artists. I'm getting better at that. I want to do something different today. Lately on YouTube, I've noticed that there have been a lot of people who have been redesigning logos, recreating logos, but none of them have took it upon themselves to reanimate those logos. Those logos are made up of what we call mographs, or motion graphics. What are motion graphics, you may ask? Wikipedia will tell you. Motion graphics are pieces of animation or digital footage which create the illusion of motion or rotation and are usually combined with audio for use in multimedia projects. My name is Connor Gates, and today I will be reanimating the motion graphics for Skittles. But before we get into the actual process of doing these motion graphics, I actually don't know what the Skittles motion graphics are exactly. It's been a while since I've seen a commercial of theirs. I remember them being really weird, and I think they're still going with that trope today. So I have the most recent commercial that Skittles has produced. It's called Yogurt Boy.
More yogurty Skittles! Creamy. Fancify the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so what they're doing here isn't really that hard, honestly. It's just some scaling, some zooming, and some drop shadows on the text that they have overlaid with the actual white text. I can understand why they're not going all out with this animation. The tone of all the commercials that they do is comedy, essentially. So they don't have to really do anything impressive to win people over. I mean, Skittles are delicious anyway, so the commercials are enough to get that point across. Yeah, okay, this gives me a lot to go off of. So, without further ado, let's jump right into Illustrator and After Effects. So the first step to this whole process is that we need to remake that logo. And you're probably asking, Connor, why are you going to remake the logo? Well, a few reasons. When a client asks you to animate the logo for them, it's very important to have all the assets accessible to you. That means like each layer, each word, every individual vector shape within that logo. It's important to have all those separately, and you can't exactly find that online. So what do? 1, you can cry. Or 2, you can remake the logo in Illustrator, which is what we're gonna do. Now, I'm not too big of a fan of the red Skittles logo where like the Skittles and the rainbow are curving behind the words. It's just, it doesn't really stand as special to me. What I do think is really attractive is this other logo that I found online, where the Skittles words are just much, much cleaner. I love the rainbow behind the whole thing. It looks very immaculate. There's a lot of things we can do with those layers behind the words themselves, and especially that Skittle, that's like the dot on the eye. I don't know, I love that. That's how it is in the other logo too, but I think it stands out way more in this logo. So I'm gonna tackle this logo and try to recreate this one. Okay, so it has been about 2 to 3 hours, and I'm finished with something that's actually not terrible. It looks pretty similar, but there are some major differences to both of them. Some of the letters are spaced differently, and also I didn't add the sheen and the drop shadow to the rainbow in the background. I thought it actually looked better without them. I thought it was a little bit too extra. That might come back and bite me. We'll find out. I don't think it will, but we'll see. So in making this logo, the first thing that I did is I looked up what is the font for Skittles, and I came to realize that it is Helvetica. Simple. I like simple. So I went through the different Helvetica fonts, and I chose the one that seemed to be the most perfect, the most accurate to the original logo. And I tried putting a drop shadow on the logo, but it wasn't enough for me. The drop shadow on the words in the original logo is just so freaking awesome. It's so deep, it's so immersive. I wanted to keep that in this logo as well. So what I did is I created 2 separate Skittles, and then I highlighted them together, and I went up to Object, Blend, and to blend options, clicked on specified steps, and I added about 300 to that. Then I went back to blend, and I clicked make, and it created this really awesome deep drop shadow. I was in love with how it looked. I'm so happy with how it turned out. And then I cut off the top of that first eye and replaced that itself with a Skittle, which wasn't too hard to do. All I had to do was create a Skittle, the letter S, and then add a drop shadow to all of that. And you're probably wondering, how did I create that rainbow behind? Well, I'm trying to figure that out too. I'm not the biggest illustrator. I'm actually pretty bad at creating shapes like this. So what I found to work the best is I took the actual logo into Illustrator, I lowered the opacity to about 50 or 40, and I tried to create the shape of each rainbow color as perfectly as I could. I wasn't too successful, but I got there okay. But basically you just create a vector shape and then copy and paste that over and over again, change the color, and sooner or later, you have that. Okay, so now that this logo is done, it's time to animate this. Oh my god. Okay, so I started this animation at 9:30, and it is now 2:48 a.m. Oh my gosh. So after about 5 or 6 hours, I created this. I'm proud of it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually pretty happy with how this is turning out. What I did is I made each of the assets, so that means every letter, every strip of color, every freaking thing that I made in that system, I transferred over to After Effects. And how I did that is I exported them all as single assets, and I exported them as PNGs with a resolution of 2000 ppi, so that no matter where we put it, it's going to be in full resolution primarily. Now when you're creating motion graphics, you're creating a story. And with this one, I wanted to show that these colors are coming together, creating a tasty snack for us. So what I did in the beginning is I created this line of circles, which was pretty easy to do. All you have to do is make a shape, copy and paste that, and animate it to make it look like a rainbow is coming out from behind them. And that by itself was kind of difficult because you have to track that line behind the circle just perfectly so that it looks like the Skittle itself is leading the line behind it to make the rainbow. So I did that, and then I wanted to give the audience some eye candy, like literally eye candy, by having the rainbow make a round in front of the viewer to transition into the next animation. And that was pretty simple. All I had to do was create some new lines and add each color to those lines and have them pass in front of the screen. And I wanted each letter in the word Skittle to pop up on screen, because when you pop a Skittle in your mouth, it's a burst of flavor, so it adds to the whole story of this thing. And that was pretty simple too. All I had to do was animate the scale of each letter to come up at the same time but at different frames, and it creates this really cool like wave that comes up. I like how it looked. And then the rainbow comes up from behind the words, and that is probably my favorite part of this whole thing. I just think that looks really clean. That was just simple masking. And for those of you who don't know what masking is, essentially it's just a different way to make an object or a word appear on screen by rotoscoping it. And rotoscoping is essentially just going in, keyframing all those edges and vector points to give you a smooth animation like that one. And then I thought to myself, what if the Skittle itself was the hero to this story? So I had that Skittle come in and bam into the eye and create the drop shadow that is behind the Skittles word itself, just polishing the whole thing off and finishing the animation essentially. So I'm pretty happy with how this looks right now, but I know for a fact that there are some things that I'm missing about this animation that I'm not seeing yet. So I think we need to get a hold of another eye. Hey Joel!
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Alright, so I know who you are. Unfortunately, the people who are watching this probably don't know who you are. So, in a nutshell, what do you do at your job?
Well, I work for a video agency here in LA. I am the motion graphics specialist. I do a little bit more than that, but most of my job is motion graphics for our clients, motion graphics for our own purposes, for our own brand. So that's basically what I do.
I sent you 2 videos. One of the videos is the animation that I tried to put my own spin on, and the other one is the animation that I made in After Effects. Watch the original and tell me what you think of it.
Well, that's wild, man. I love it.
Yeah. Give me your thoughts.
Wild.
Give me your thoughts on the animation at the end.
I mean, it's pro. It's pro, right? It looks so good.
It's pro?
Just the design and everything. It looks pro as heck.
Nice. Love it. What they're doing here isn't really that hard. They don't have to really do anything impressive to win people over. Go ahead and give my animation a look now. See what you think of that.
Yeah, that was nice.
Nice.
Pretty clean. I like it.
What are your first thoughts about it? How can I what do you like the most about it?
The branded, rainbow color looks great. The way you have the rainbow, do the transition, cool. Love it. Motion blur looks great. The Skittle flying in at the beginning, and that 3D effect pops in. That's cool. I like that. I also like that you've distorted them to match that motion. That's great. That looks super good. That's very pro. Yeah, this looks cool. This looks good.
What are some of the notes you can give me on improving this whole animation?
Skittles are circular. They're rounded, so the design should be very rounded. The reason I bring that up is because if you look at 2 seconds in, the way that this rainbow starts drawing itself is that the end caps are butt end cap instead of rounded end cap. Okay. I would not do a single butt end cap for anything in this animation. Every one of the end caps should be round because it's way more on brand, and it is way more related to and helps the viewer understand the story of a Skittle. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
I like these the way that these rounded basically Skittles motivate the rainbow coming in. That's awesome. I love that. I think I would have done it looks like you're scaling just the x-axis to bring these in. I would have scaled both. I would have just done a straight scale to bring all those in. I can definitely tell that the pathing here is a little jagged.
Okay.
I want that path to be perfectly a curve. You see how if you look between the green and the yellow, it's really clear. There's just kind of a couple jagged edges there that aren't perfectly smooth and curved. The curves on the rainbow coming behind the Skittles looks great. Maybe a little bit more smoothing. I can see a bit of a hump in the red here.
Oh man, okay, yeah.
And then I'll also say your blue line doesn't connect all the way. There's space.
I just noticed that. Oh my god.
Yeah, so
ooh.
just get that.
That's cringy.
This is very similar to yours, right? It's the same idea.
Right.
I cannot tell you how long I spent making this work, these curves. It took forever to get these lines and these curves to match perfectly. And looking at it now, you can even see a little bit of weirdness right here when they go from the curve into the line. Around here, it's just not as clean as I would have liked it to be.
My last question for you then is this animation better than the one that the Skittles brand did?
I mean, I would say no, only because the Skittles brand knows their brand. You basically did a different concept.
Totally.
So it's hard. It's kind of hard to say. Here's the thing: you look at a lot of animations that are super simple, and they seem like, oh, that's easy, or they seem like that's nothing. I could do that. But when you get into it, you sort of find that sometimes the simpler animations are the harder ones, because you have to be super precise and super refined and really take your time to make sure it looks good.
Forewarning, I spent 6 hours on this.
Well, hey,
yeah.
Honestly, and if it takes you 6 hours to get to this point, then spend 12 hours doing it. This is a great animation. This is a good animation. The concept is there. You're understanding the creativity of it. You're understanding what's cool. It's just the details and the refinement that I think you need to work on. That's all.
Well, Joel, thank you for giving your notes for me. It's great to hear from someone that has some experience in the professional world, I guess.
Awesome. Thanks, man. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure taking a look at your work.
Alrighty. Yeah. Okay. See you, man.
Bye.
Bye. So, a lot of things have changed with the animation that I did. So I applied the notes that Joel gave me over Zoom, and I took a few more hours in After Effects to just retouch everything and make sure everything looked pretty good, and I have come to this result.
Fancify the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Now I want to hear from you guys. Did I do better than the original commercial, or could I have done any better? Let me know in the comments. And on that topic, if there's another logo out there that you guys want me to reanimate, then also leave that down in the comments. I would love to do this again in the future. This was so much fun to do, guys, and I hope I can do it again in the very near future. Peace.